Hey guys, welcome to Traditional Bowhunting Wilderness Podcast. This is Jason Samkovic. We're going to take a minute today. We're going to talk about releasing a traditional bow. You're shooting them with fingers, with a glove, with a tab, doesn't matter. But there's basically, in my opinion, for bow hunting, there's three different types of release that's going to work for you. And we're going to break them down and kind of cover them a little bit. Now keep in mind, I'm not an expert shooter. I'm not even a good shooter. I get it done, make it happen, but this stuff definitely matters. And there's pros and cons to each of them. I've done all three of them. And we're going to kind of cover them and help maybe figure out what's the right way for you to focus on your release. Now, first of all, getting a clean release, regardless of how you're releasing, is important. And I've heard everything said from, like you're picking up a paint can, and then whether you have it, and then you want to be able to feel like you're cutting the back of that hand and let it drop, just like that. I've heard all kinds of things about it, but getting a clean release does start in the back of the hand right here. When you bring that bow back and you come in, you need to be able to release that, not with your fingers. You release that with the back of your hand, right in here. That's that part. I'm not good at a clean release. It's my biggest downfall. I do not have a clean release whatsoever. Another thing we want to talk about real quick before I get into those three release styles is going to be whether you should stay stationary after the release or if you want follow through. So if you see people, sometimes they'll come back in and they'll come to full draw and they'll shoot and they'll try and keep their hand right here. Okay, that's a stationary, a dead release. That's what that is. That's right there, dead release. It doesn't move. Or you can have a follow-through release where when you come back, you shoot, and then your hand comes back like that. And you draw, and you bring it back, and when you shoot, your hand comes back. I don't think it matters either way. I think the bringing your hand back is a little more advantageous. I used to shoot with a dead release. I shot with both of them. Like I said, I've done all three of these methods. And it was actually videotaping myself shooting that led me to, from one to another, to try a different one, to change things up on a regular basis and see what constantly works. So don't think they're set in stone. And don't think that one is better than the other. And don't think that, there's a right and a wrong way, because there's not. Whatever works for you works best with this scenario. But I want to cover the three different ones. And I am going to shoot here and show you. Yes, I have a bag target set up over here. And fortunately, it's 1:15 in the morning as I'm recording this. And I got some time to do it. But everybody else in the house is sleeping. So they're not going to know that I was shooting a bow in the house. So it kind of works out in my advantage. But what I want to talk about first is that there's three styles. You have a kind of what we call like a, what's the word I'm looking for? A static release, okay? A static where it's stationary. I can't remember the word I'm looking for here. It just slipped my mind. But you got a stationary, a static release where it's locked in, okay? You're going to come back, you're going to lock in, and you're going to hold it right there like that, and you're going to be there, and then you're going to release that, or even if you then let it go, but you're going to come into a dead, static, solid release right there. That kind of a thing, a locked-in type release. And if I think of the other word I was thinking for it, that's probably what it'll say in the title. But right now it's slipping my mind. I'm on video, and I'm going this all in one take, so you got to give me a little credit there. But that static release, that stationary static release, where you come in and lock solid and stay right there, and then release that arrow, is one type. Another type is a dynamic release, okay, a fluid type release. That's where you're going to come back and pull and pull and pull and pull and pull and pull and pull, and you let go at the same time. You never stop. You never hit a static spot. When that middle of your finger, or whatever your anchor is, like for me it's that tooth, when that comes in and touches that tooth, that arrow's gone. And it's all one continuous motion, never stopping. Then the third one would be kind of a hybrid, which is kind of what I shoot, because I want that static and I want that dynamic. I want both of them. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. And that would be where you come in and you see my old style of shooting, even though it was static, I creep a little bit with my old style, but I was also, a lot of that creep was trying to fit my tooth. See, I got one tooth that I like to anchor to. So I would draw that bow back, I would come back in and stretch that out, and then I'd creep in and find that tooth, and as soon as I hit that tooth, I'd release. But even though I was doing that, it was still a creeping motion. So it wasn't good. For me, I thought I'd come back and then slide in, find that tooth, lock and shoot, but it would creep still. I don't want to creep. I don't want that going that way. I want it going this way. And I also need that static, solid anchor point. I want that. I want to make sure that I'm there. I want to make sure that if that deer comes in, I have time. If he stops and he steps behind a branch, I can sit here like this and hold that and wait for him. And then when he steps out, I can shoot him. Well, when you're a dynamic shooter, that's hard to do that kind of a thing because you're meant to shoot. Bring it up, shoot like that. So it makes it a little more tricky in a lot of hunting scenarios, but it is definitely doable. A lot of people do. Some of the best shooters in the world are very dynamic, fluid shooters like that, and it's a fantastic thing. My style of combining the two of them, which is nothing new, it's not like people don't do this all over the place, but that combination, that hybrid style, is where I'm going to come in and I'm going to bring it back to anchor, and I'm going to stop just short of where I want to be. If I want to anchor here, I'm stopping right here. So I come up and I bring it into anchor, and I'm there just before I'm ready to release. I take that last quarter inch and make it dynamic. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that for this whole last year, and it's been working really good for me. Killed a lot of animals this year, and it worked out flawless. So that's what I use. There are pros and cons to all of them. The downside to a static release, which actually I'll run through them and show you firsthand so you can kind of see what they look like before I break down the differences, and I will on each of them. But that static release, as you're doing that, is basically going to be something like this here. If I grab an arrow, let's take this arrow right here. So I'm going to take this arrow here, make sure my tip is tight. So that static release is going to look something like this, where it's going to come in and it's going to be a solid anchor, and I'm going to stay stationary at that anchor until I have that set like I want, and then I'm going to shoot. Now, when I do that, I bring that back and I come in and I hit anchor and I hold that right there. That right there is your static release, okay? That's how that looks. When I do that, what happens, one of the consequences to that is when I'm doing it right here, right now, and I'm focusing on it, it's pretty easy to lock that in. But it induces a lot of issues. One of them would be creeping, which will look like this. If you'll see, you'll be able to see the front of that arrow on there. Now this is what happens to me when I shoot that way. You'll see that arrow creeping forward as my arm is creeping down, because I'm trying to stay in one spot. It's very hard to stay in one spot. You either need to be pushing or pulling or something happening. So what would happen is I would look like this. Okay, it would come back and I would go like this. Do you see that creep forward on there? That creep is a problem because it lacks consistency. And then, now it's actually maybe even better than being stationary, because at least there's some movement. There's some muscle happening and some changes in movement that's actually going on in there. That's not a bad thing. But some of the issues that you can get with a static release like that is that you stop the push and the pull. Okay, if you're not pushing and pulling at the same time, then what happens is you can dump your bow arm. You can, like I said, start to creep. You can get there and pluck the string easier. That bow arm can come in just like you're here, and then right before you, and again, you need a push-pull method. If you don't have that in your static, when you release here, it can cause that bow arm to dump in, which is one of the problems I have with that static release. I would dump that bow arm. It would happen, not all the time, but enough that it bothered me. So that's one of the downsides to a static release. An advantage to it is you have control. What I mean by that is I can take that bow, and let's again say that with that deer coming in and he walks in and he comes in and I'm watching him and he comes in and I got him and I lock and he's stuck. He's not moving. He's staying right there, waiting on him, just holding out on him, waiting for him to take one more step. Come on, bud, you can do it. And it's done. So I have that control over the bow to be able to do that with a static release. With a dynamic fluid release, that's very, very hard to do. Not saying it's impossible, and a lot of people will stop that short here and then finish it, which looks like this. So in a dynamic one, we'll start with the whole dynamic aspect. Dynamic and fluid means it's all in one, just like this. So it usually combined with a swing draw method where you're drawing as you're coming up or whatever it is, but that fluid release looks like this. It comes in, coming back, and then it's gone when it hits anchor. That's it. There is not a resting point on that. There is no stationary anchor. Again, it looks like this. It's bringing it back, coming back, and it's gone. That push and pull that happens during that is a constant push forward to move the bow forward and a constant pull back on there, induces back tension, and it's an excellent way to shoot. It offers phenomenal options. Now, to put that into perspective of that same hunting scenario, what a lot of those dynamic shooters will do is they will take that bow and they will do it like this. So that deer is coming in, oh wait, he's stuck, and they'll stay here. And they'll wait, and then he'll come by and they'll finish the shot out. So again, there's not really, pros and cons to each of them. One of the downsides of a dynamic method for me is it happens fast and I feel mentally like I don't have control. I want that control of that static lock in and hold where I'm totally in control, and I can, if I want to, I can go lock, and I can go through some methods and make sure that I'm solid beforehand. When I'm shooting dynamic, I don't have that, and when I shoot with a dynamic release, there's kind of a panic that sets in on there. Again, it's a panic of me not having control, knowing that the second it's back here, I have to let it go. That freaks me out on a mental aspect. It also induces target panic for me. And it's like I said, it's a pretty, that dynamic method scares me. When I have that shot as a rock solid, come in, have that here, and I'm locked in, that right there makes me comfortable and feel good. I can take my time and decide when I want to let that arrow go, and I'm in control of it. When it is a smooth, consistent, I feel like I have to follow, like that has to go off. And it does, it kind of freaks me out. So for me, the dynamic method doesn't work very well. For me, the static method works, but I'm kind of sloppy sometimes. That bow arm will dump, that hand will creep forward, things come in. It's not necessarily the best way because you lose the push-pull method to that. That can be an issue. So that brings us to my hybrid kind of method, which again is not mine. It's not, like I said, it's not like I came up with it. I'm sure many other people do it. But what I do is I do a combination of the two of them. I'm going to come in and anchor a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch short of where I want to be. And then I'm going to take that last part as dynamic to finish the shot out. It looks kind of like this. So I come in and I get static right here. And then when I want to shoot, it's a dynamic release to it. I'll do it again. And again, I've been shooting this way all year, and it's working phenomenal for me. So it starts out as a static draw. I come in, I got control for whatever I want, and then the last half is a dynamic type of a shot. That combo seems to work very good for me because it gives me the best of both worlds. Gives me the station and static aspect, so I get the control. I feel like I'm in control. I have the wait time. I have the time to line everything up if I want to. I'm an instinctive shooter. I don't gap shoot. I don't anything, so it's not like I have to aim it. But sometimes I just want that split second of control to make sure everything feels right. To kind of go through a little mental checklist, even if it's subconscious, that tells me everything is okay. I want that option. With this method, I get that, just like I do in the static. So it goes again, something like this. Like that, I get the best of both worlds, the static and a dynamic aspect. So those are basically your three different methods. And like I said, not one of them is bad. And I've shot all three of them for many times. And I switch regularly. It doesn't have to be something that you stick with. You can change this up or modify it any way you want to, like I did. For me, this combination of the two of them, this hybrid style, it definitely fits my bill, especially as a hunter. Like I said, I don't know nothing about target shooting. I don't know anything about 3D. I shoot 3D occasionally, but I don't know anything about any of the competitive shooting. I don't care about it personally. I want a bow hunt, and I want hunting accuracy. So for me, that's what I'm looking for. And that hybrid method kind of gives me the best of both of those worlds. No creep forward, no messing around, no anything. I come in, I bring it back, I get it set a little bit short, and I can line up, get where I want, and when I'm ready to shoot, I can make it dynamic. And it works really good. But whatever method you're picking, find the one that works best for you. Try all three of them. Try whatever you want to. There is no 100% perfect method for everybody out there. If there was, that's what we'd all have to do. You find what works best for you. I'm just trying to show you a couple of the different styles with the pros and cons. As far as pros to this hybrid style, it gives you the best of both worlds, and it works really good for me. May for you, it may not. Cons to it or downsides? I don't see any. I haven't found one yet, especially because I'm actually stopping short of my tooth where I want to actually release on, so I can bring that back, come in, get settled in there and figure all the stuff out I want figured out, and then make it dynamic by just going another 1/4 or 1/2 inch And I don't care where I'm stopping here. It doesn't matter. Because I'm not releasing until here. I'm just getting back there and getting my bearings and getting comfortable. And once I do, bring it back till it hits that tooth and it's gone. And it just does, so I'm getting the best of both worlds. So for me, it's a fantastic style of shooting. It induces the push and pull method, so my bow arm, no more, in my shots now, my groups are not scattered all over. They're tight. They're really good and tight, and I like that because of the fact that I don't have any dumping of the bow arm or plucking of the string. I don't have any of that. It is a straight linear push and pull. Straight linear push and pull that's happening. When that happens, even though I'm static here, that's irrelevant. That's just getting me in the zone. But that dynamic part when I fire that is a consistent push forward on the bow arm and a pull back on my string hand and my release. And it's fluid and it keeps everything in perfect alignment, and my groups are much tighter. My shooting is much better. These animals I'm killing, I'm punching right through them like I want to. It's been a really good year, of doing that. Last few years I've shot pretty static. I videotape myself shooting. You've seen it in some of the other videos, and when I go back after I do a video, I watch it, and it's like, man, I'm supposed to be static. I'm supposed to be stationary, staying right there. And I see all these little quirks and problems come into that. And like I said, for me personally, so that one works, but maybe there's better. Dynamic, I can't do dynamic. The target panic aspect of dynamic for me in one fluid, simple, I don't have it. I cannot. There it is right there like that. Okay, get ready. I can't do that. It does not work for me, not even a little bit. This hybrid style fits the bill perfectly. So hopefully some of this info in this video will help you out, maybe give you something to think about. So thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.